In Spring, we have a different ways to say to Spring that we want to create an instance of one class, and then Spring will manage this instance by his own. There is 3 of them that is mainly used in our projects. The first one is controller. The controller, we are specifying to Spring that this class is going to be a controller, and then Spring will be easily create a new instance of this class in our application context. The second one is gonna be the annotation service. The annotation service will specify that this class is a service, and Spring needs to create a new instance or a new being also in his application context for this class. The third one, also pretty well used in our Spring project, is repository. With repository, we are indicating to Spring this class is going to be used as repository, and then Spring will manage and create a new instance in our application context, and is with the annotation component. With component, we are specifying to Spring that this class needs to create an instance and save it in his Spring context as a new instance and manage it by the framework. But actually, the 3 annotations that we have seen before, controller, service, and repository, are actually inside component. So they have like annotation component, each of them. So we go to each of them, we can see that also has component annotation in each of them. So it means that inside controller, service, and repository are at the end a component. The only difference is to specify in our project which classes are repository, service, and controller. Even though we can see as like in the documentation or in the Java doc that indicates, for example, in the annotation, repository annotation, it says that indicate that an annotated class is a repository originally defined by domain drive designs. It means like it's just a specification to make it clear that user repository is actually a repository, but at the end is exactly the same way in the logic as using component annotation. In either way, we can inject for each of our annotation. For example, we can have an private custom component, and we can create our class by constructor. If we create a debug, also in the user controller, with debugging our project, as we can see exactly, custom component is and has an instance already that has been managed by Spring. So we can see that user service is going to be created by constructor with our instance custom component that we are using component annotation. And in the same way, in the user controller, we have also user service that has an instance that has been created by Spring in order to manipulate by his own the instance of our classes. Another way to see that exactly our instance has been created in our project is checking the application context in Spring. We can do that exactly just using the configurable application context that is returning the Spring application.run that is running our project, and then we can get the bin definition names that is basically an array of all the bins names that we have in our project. So after that, we can do a for each of the names of the bins that we have in our project. And if we reboot our project, now since we are using systemout.println, we can see all the instance that Spring has internally in his application context. So we could try to search for user service. So now we can see also in our console that custom component, user controller, user repository, and user service is one name, bins or instance inside of the Spring context. That means that has been created and saved and manipulated by Spring Framework inside by his own. So with that, we have like the 4 annotations that we can use in our classes in order to indicate to Spring that it needs needs to create a new instance and be manipulated by his own. So this is the way to indicate to Spring that we have different classes with different annotations and that has to be create an instance or a being in our project. Of course, if you have any comment or question, do not forget to let it in the comment section that I will try to answer your questions as soon as possible. I hope that you really like it. Please don't forget to subscribe and let it a like if you like it. And I see you in the next video. Bye!